how do you know that readiness equals performance? Have you done studies? Do you have anything inside the company where you work with universities or do actual laboratory experiments to know that readiness is like actually a valid, number?
Yeah.
And how do you do that? I guess
so.
Is
I think
big question.
Yeah, and at some point we'll connect the rest of the dots and how I got to the company. But
Yeah.
I think you're starting to see it already. Readiness. A couple things. One, you look at the theory, right? So there's lots and lots of good science papers in theory saying, hey, your HRV changes or your resting heart rate changes, or if you get 6 hours of sleep,
So resting heart rate is when I'm asleep.
Correct. We look at it when you're sleeping.
Got it.
And your lowest resting heart rate. And then we look at that.
Why is
versus
lowest
your average.
resting heart rate so important?
Physiologically, and also a little bit with the autonomic nervous system, the vagus nerve that connects your brain and your body. Your lowest resting heart rate is something that requires both physical and mental relaxation. So you typically reach the research shows that if you're actually well recovered and well rested in sort of a normal pattern, you'll reach your lowest resting heart rate sort of midway through the night, right? Now, if you're super stressed, you're working super late, or you worked out late, or you drank, or you ate a ton of food, your resting heart rate will actually happen much later. It'll take you 7-8 hours to process that alcohol or that
digestion, alcohol, getting in a fight with your spouse, your boss yells at you, or you got a big project tomorrow. That could actually keep you away from the lowest resting heart rate.
Correct. Yeah, it's just a sign of stress. And then same with heart rate variability, right? I think heart rate variability is a great measure of the autonomic nervous system. That's sort of showing this, stress on your central nervous system, on your body and your brain. And so I think those two are really important to look at. And then sleep, we do think that it's not just one night of bad sleep. It's that compounding nights of bad sleep that really hits you. And then also, if you've been inactive, if you're less active than normal or even more active, right, you're going to be tired. Like, hey, you just ran a marathon. I've
done that. Yeah, dude, it's just 3 or 4 days of your body feels like you got hit by a Mack truck. So the heart rate variability, that's something we've just been able to start capturing on these devices, whether it's an Apple Watch, Fitbit, or Oura.
Correct.
This is a new sensor, or the sensors have become precise enough to pick this up?
The latter, yeah. So heart rate variability is actually the variation in every single heartbeat. So you and I are sitting...
The time between them is how it's explained to me. Is that what it is?
Correct. Yeah. The interbeat interval is think about it sort of, your heartbeat over time is, look like a sinusoidal wave pattern, right? And so, time is sort of on your x-axis, right? If you think about that, the space between each beat, if we're sitting here taping this podcast and our 60 beats per minute, that's the average over the minute. Now, the question is, what's the variability within that minute, right? And that is heart rate variability.
Less variability and more consistency is better?
Opposite. It's counterintuitive. Yeah. So actually, you want more variability.
What? That's so counterintuitive. Why would more be better? Or do we not know?
I think theoretically, maybe I can explain it physiologically speaking. So when you're in a high variation, a high heart rate variability, you can sort of adapt to any situation. So part of your body's functions is like, imagine like we're sitting here and all of a sudden like, a cheetah jumps in the room. Right. What do you need to do, right? Fight or flight. You need to drop everything, you need to push, Nick to the ground, and you need to make, haul for it, right? So to get Nick, right, unfortunately. Right. But for you to respond that way, you need to be in a little bit of a flow state. You need to have that variation. So that high variability, right, allows you to react and adjust quickly from both your mind and your body and not freeze. Now, if you are, if you're really sort of anxious and stressed, it's like every little thing irks you, right? And that like you feel like rigid, you feel like stuck. Your heart rate is actually very, very, that interbeat interval is very consistent.
Beep, 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 beep. Whereas like heart rate variability, when it's different, it makes you more nimble. You got better cardiovascular ability, maybe more resiliency because you're dealing with many different situations, kind of like cross training, or a lot of different fitness theories are. You don't want to just do 4 exercises. You want to try 400 different exercises and get all different types of movement going on your body.
Precisely. I think the best thing I heard on that. Do you know what the best exercise in the world is? Have you heard this one?
Walking? No.
No, it's the one you're not doing. Right.
Oh, what a great one.
Yeah. So you want that ability to adapt, but no.
It's interesting. There's a whole philosophy of working out, which is for guys who get older, or anybody who gets older, I suppose. But I was listening to it maybe it was on Tim Ferriss or something, that they try to get older men to try new exercises, crawling on the ground, moving, balance beams, just anything different, so that your mind and your body gets just better at adapting. And when you don't, you get this negative cycle of totally being at your desk all the time. But at some point,